tracked down a story of a lifetime here with the Sterling Allan thing. And,
absolutely.
I was just going to say, we've been telling people about that we've been searching and trying to verify things as best we possibly could with our limited funding, but it looks like we got something very exciting here, and, from what I've seen so far, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the stories posted on all three sites, on social network, nsearch.com. It's on project.nsearch.com. And it's also on latenightinthe-midlands.com. Pretty good story explaining what we're going to be talking about tonight, a little later on in the show. Sterling Allan, he's done some great work. This guy, I mean, he's traveled to find this, and I can't explain it any better than he can. That's for sure. But he's done a great job of getting out there and finding out what's real and what's not. And I got nothing but good things to say about him, and he'll be with us tonight. So interesting. Maybe we could finally get off the grid and generate our own power, Glenn.
Oh yeah, man, this changes everything, and we've talked about it for so long. It's free energy. I mean, solar energy is a form of free energy. Free meaning that once you pay for the device, you don't pay for any other fuel. That's what we mean, because solar, everybody says there's no such thing as free energy. Well, when you build your solar system, the energy you're getting from it from that point on is basically free. That's what we're talking about, a renewable source, much better than nuclear that has all these problems with meltdowns, much better than oil that has all the pollution coming out the tailpipe. And Mike, this is something that's been around for 100 years. That's how successful they have been at suppressing this, because for the first time in history, Mike, we can get out there and contact thousands of people that can go on and spread this message virally. And that's one thing we want to tell everybody right now to do, is go get this article immediately, take it to Facebook, Twitter, everywhere possible, because I've already seen that it looks like they're trying to clamp down on me, Mike. I mean, I've shared this thing, and, I've only seen like 7 or 8 likes. So it's like, oh, we just solved, we brought out a real free energy device that completely changes the entire paradigm, and I can get 5 likes. I mean, come on now. I know.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing, Glenn. They're suppressing it.
I mean, I used to give out things that were nowhere near earth-shattering and get 175 likes, no problem. It's definitely been suppressed. Alex Jones is right when he says Google's playing games and these other things, these other social networks are definitely playing games. That's why it's important that we don't take this lying down. We need everybody to spread this story, and when this interview is done, Mike, I guess it'll be available. We'll make sure that we post it and tell you how to post it as soon as it comes live. So, starting a few hours after the show, we should be able to just start posting this link to this interview everywhere. Right, Mike?
Yeah, we want everybody to get busy on it. Even like right now, start letting people know about it, because this is going to be a really good show tonight. And even after the show, get this out, because the more people that know about it, the less chance they have of suppressing this. I mean, think about it, Glenn. If people know that they could get their hands on something that can power their home, and they'd be free from the vultures at these power companies,
right.
And then they find out that the United States won't allow it in the country, people aren't going to be too happy about that, not one bit. So we need to get this out.
And you know what else this does, Mike? And people don't realize this, but when you solve the free energy issue, you also have something else, is we can get out of these high gas prices, because immediately we can begin powering stills that are basically powered with, safer induction heating coils instead of, that's my big problem with doing the alcohol still, is it's dangerous, because either you gotta fire that thing with either wood or gas or something, and that's not something you want to just have going all the time. But if it's something as easy as a hot plate, and you're basically making this stuff in a very safe environment, we can use that as a bridge. We can make our own alcohol fuel from our grass clippings and branches and everything else that's renewable, and we can do that as a stopgap until we basically start getting these devices put into vehicles themselves in the future. But we can definitely, how would it be to just be able to make your own gasoline right there at your house, Mike, just using this device as your power source?
That'd be great. Well, here's the thing about what we're going to be discussing a little later tonight, Glenn, is, I got to talk to Sterling about this, but I wonder why couldn't this thing be put in, say, the trunk of an electric car and hooked up to it and constantly generate power? Goodbye gas.
Or
so there's a lot of...
Yeah, at least a truck, because this device, I don't know what size it is because we won't know that yet, but I guess he'll be explaining that. But, either way, the bottom line is it solves everything. It solves the entire New World Order paradigm of, well, we've got to carbon tax you because, that money is going to be used to clean up the environment and all this stuff. It's like, no, let's end these nuclear plants immediately. 90% of them are already leaking. So let's get rid of these nuke plants. Let's stop these wars over oil and resources, and let's start doing what we should have been doing, many, many decades ago. Let's build this land into a paradise, and let's let all these countries, South Africa, the United States, let everybody be leaders in this field and bringing out jobs to their people. Because, Mike, we know Obama has done nothing but destroy this economy and take jobs away from this country. America should have been the leaders in this technology because Tesla had it 100 years ago.
That's right, Glenn. And I hate to cut you off here, but let's take our break quickly. We do have Dee on the line, so we'll take our break, and as soon as we come back, we'll get Dee, and I guess Sally will be with us too. So hang on there with me, Glenn, and everybody else, hang on. I'm Michael Vera. We're ready to get this thing going here with Sterling Allan. South African fuel-free generator preparing for the market. Sterling Allan reports on his recent trip South Africa to visit a company who has developed a 5-kilowatt fuel-free generator that will be available beginning in March, at least for now, for their existing customers. Sterling will be getting a generator to test and use at his home. From that first batch of 200, Sterling D. Allan is the founder and CEO of PES Network and Company and the New Energy Congress, which is comprised of energy professionals from around the world who review the most promising new and emerging energy technologies. And we're very happy to have Sterling Allan with us here tonight, and we're going to bring him on in just a second. Glenn, we're about to bring Sterling on here in a second with us as soon as Autumn gets done with the screening. And so we're ready to get this thing going. 858-683-1309. That's the number to call in. We will take calls shortly. Once we get into this a little bit, just press 1 so we know you want to come on the air. And we're going to get this thing rolling. So you about ready, Glenn?
Yeah, let's take it away.
All right.
Yeah, let's
do
it away, buddy.
All right, so everybody, please welcome back to Late Night in the Midlands, Sterling Allan. Welcome back, my friend. You got some good news, I take it.
I do. How you doing, Michael?
All right. We got Glenn sitting in with us as well. He's my colleague, Glenn Kennedy.
Hi, Glenn.
Sterling. Good to hear from you, buddy. I guess start wherever you want to start. An amazing story here unfolding, and I believe this is the first time it's been on the air.
It is. You guys are breaking it on the air. And I'm going to have to be careful because we finally got permission on the story that we posted today, and my original version was 10 pages, and the edited version was about 7.5, 8 pages. So there's quite a few things that they cropped out they didn't want to have out there. Sure. And so I need to be careful that I don't step over those lines. So if I say I can't go there, just I have to honor that.
No problem. Hey, Sterling, before we get going, just out of curiosity, has this company had any pressure against them? Have they had, they obviously know how this game has been played with suppression and death threats and everything else. Have they had any bad pressure applied to them yet?
I will say that generally speaking, the pie chart as I see it of bringing free energy technology to market, the obstacles that have to be overcome, 10 or 20% is coming up with the technology, 20% is finding the money, good money. 10% is men in black who do threats and stuff like that. 40% is interpersonal conflicts, and that pie chart would apply here as well, and that's as far as I can go in answering that question.
Sure. So it's obvious that they have something, at least to a 10% level, I guess, of the pie chart.
I was struck for my story.
Okay. All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit, tell us as much as you can about this generator and your excursions. I take it you went to Africa yourself, and I'll let you tell the story.
I did, Mike, and you know, I have to say that you were right there at the very beginning with me on this story when I first found out about it. I gave you a heads up about it, and both of us have just been chomping at the bit to get information out about this. And so I'd say kudos to your patience, because it's been, 3 weeks since we first learned about this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. And basically what they claim, what I saw, I should say, and yes, I traveled to Johannesburg, South Africa, and they're very proud of South Africa and several things that have come from South Africa, including the artificial heart. Anyway, what I saw was a 5-kilowatt generator providing AC power, running a load. At the time, it was about 4 kilowatts. We had a couple of burners, a kilowatt each, had a fan, 40-kilowatt fan turning, had a toaster, and another heating element, I believe. No, it was a pancake maker. And all of that was being powered by a DC motor that was being powered by 2 batteries, 12-volt batteries, 100-amp-hour batteries. And then there was another set of 2-amp-hour batteries that were being recharged at the same time by the back EMF coming from the DC motor. And how that happened was through some circuitry that an inventor down in South Africa came up with. He actually powered his house for 3 weeks with it. He was just tinkering around, first of all, making something for his daughter to play with. And he just, one thing led to another. He wasn't really trying to make something like this. It just turned into this. And lo and behold, he had a device that was putting out a lot of power, blew him away. He powered his house for 3 weeks with it, and then he presented it to a finance guy, was introduced, and the lab was powered for 3 weeks with it. So anyway, he came up with this circuit that basically not only harvests the back EMF. There's a lot of people, John Bedini, Peter Lindemann, Bearden, a lot of other people, thousands of people, I would dare say, are tinkering with that concept and have had varying degrees of success in doing that. But in the process, somehow, energy is showing up from the environment, because if you were just harvesting the back EMF, then at best you would have still a less than a 100% efficient system. But in their case, the batteries are basically staying at the same level, so you can run the system indefinitely while it's producing 5 kilowatts with the generator on the back on the production end. And so basically what they have is a technology that employs off-the-shelf components. The DC motor is off the shelf. They've just made a couple modifications. The generator is completely off the shelf, and it's tied via direct shaft to the DC motor. The batteries are off the shelf. The only thing that they're providing that's proprietary and exclusive to them is their circuit. And so what we have is a licensing opportunity, and they actually chided me today. They're saying, whoa, slow down a little bit. We're getting a little bit too much volume here. A lot of people sending emails saying, hey, I want to get involved. But once they're ready to go, and they're almost there, all you have to do as a licensee, there's a very low entrance fee. It's very reasonable. Almost anyone with some entrepreneurial sense who has contacts to some people with some money could pull this off in any country of the world. You just source the DC motor, source the AC generator, source the batteries, and those are all off-the-shelf fairly easy to obtain items. You build your cabinet, put it together into a nicely dressed case, and get the circuit from the company, and you've got a 5 kilowatt generator that produces 5 kilowatts or less. So if you don't need 5 kilowatts, the circuitry is such that it reduces the load from the DC driver to the generator. And then as you need a full 5 kilowatts, it increases the load to the DC motor. And we basically have the ingredients of a cottage industry that can spring up anywhere on the planet to make these things. And the limiting factor actually will be the DC motors, because they're somewhat of it's not just any DC motor. There are certain specs that they require for this to work right. And those types of DC motors are not ubiquitous. There's not too many manufacturers of them around.
Right.
And so that will probably be the choke point for now. It will become a logjam point, is running out the supply of those, because basically they're in production to handle their present load or the present volume of sales, not this sudden influx of new customers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so there will probably have to be some new manufacturing plants built for the DC motors in order to handle the demand. The next step for the company is they're going to be completing 200 of these units. When I was there, I saw 200 circuit boards. I didn't count them, but approximately 200 circuit boards in the cabinet that they have built. And they were actually, the unit that I was looking at was a test unit to make sure that the circuit board was done right, because they're doing them by hand. And so they've got the parts are, the case is being manufactured, and these are supposed to be finished they're going to begin rolling out mid-March next month, less than a month from now. And these first 200 units will go to some corporate customers, including some multinational companies, who will then test the units for 30 days. And if they don't check out, they don't pay. If they check out, then the data will be published as part of their brochure material for licensees and stuff. So that's step one, is to do those tests in the field, basically beta testing of the device in real-world situations, everything from deep down in the mine to running an office complex or whatever. Once those tests are done, then they will be ready to rock and roll with entertaining license agreements from around the planet. And again, the bottleneck will probably be the DC motors and having to ramp those up.
Sterling, just real quick, do you know how many licensees they're going to put in each country, or did they even mention that yet?
Well, the general model, from what I understand, and I did ask them quite a bit about this, would be for each country to have its own licensee. So they're not going to be manufacturing for the world. They'll be manufacturing only the circuits.
Right.
And then each country will have a licensee who will handle that country. And if they want to sub-license it for the states within that country, for example, the regions, that's up to them.
Yeah.
Depending on how big the country is and the dynamics, whatnot. In the U.S., for example, it makes sense to have each state as a sub-licensee for the most part. Or in some cases, some smaller states, there could be some regional licensees.
Sure.
Now, do we know what these devices are going to run cost-wise?
The price that they gave me when I was on my way over, raising money to make the trip and to come up with enough money to buy a unit myself, because they offered not only... See this, let me backtrack a little bit, give you a little bit of history about this trip as I shared with Mike. I had composed a story about the company, and they didn't like it because I was saying, well, if this is real then, they don't want me to say if this is real. They want me to go over there and see it for myself so I can say this is real. And so it was based on that invitation that I basically pulled together in a plane ticket and donations, and 3 days later I was on a plane to go see them and see the technology, meet them. And they also offered to sell me a unit that I could test for myself. And that unit is going to be delivered with the first 200 that are finished. That'll be shipped here to the United States for me to test, and I want to install it on my home. I want to show people that you can run a house on 5 kilowatts if you're careful about how you run your appliances, so you don't run the heavy load appliances at the same time.
Right.
And if you happen to, and the circuit, the circuit breaker goes off, you just go and throw the circuit breaker, and turn off one of the heavy load appliances, and off you run again, and no big deal.
Right.
I don't mind that kind of inconvenience. I'm a scientist. I'm an investigator, but I want to show that a typical U.S. household would be able to run on 5 kilowatts, even though if you're not being careful, especially in the summer with AC loads, air conditioning,
right,
you could easily get up into the 20 kilowatt range, even though your average might be half a kilowatt.
I think it would really help to also replace your lighting with LED lighting to lessen the load too.
Sure.
I think that would be great. Yeah, I can't wait. Do they have a time frame? Is it going to be around March or April when you get your unit?
That's when they're going to start shipping or delivering, I should say, the first 200 units. And they plan on manufacturing at the rate of 200 a month, ramping up to 500 a month. And that's just for the South African market,
right?
By the end of the year. And so I've recommended to them that the units that they make not be for the South African market, but for potential licensees around the planet, and that they get kind of first option, and then if they have leftovers, then they can sell them to customers in South Africa. But they ought to license South Africa separately to somebody else that they not directly handle that.
Well, that's a great idea, because it needs to get out there before people start trying to get ideas on how to shut somebody down. The more heads in this hydra, the better, Keep safety in numbers is what I say.
One thing that's cool is the number of people who contacted me in the ballpark of 3 or 4 very serious scientists who have seen very similar effects to what is being described here, who have vouched for the underlying technology, having basically replicated or having come up with it themselves. And so this is not the only such situation on the planet. It happens to be the farthest along, and that's why I have put them in number 1 position in my top 5. But they are not. They are neck and neck with number 2. It's actually almost a toss-up how close they are with the Defcalion technology, which is basically very similar to the ECAT, the cold fusion technology, the cold fusion heater that I was able to see on my way home from Johannesburg. I changed my flight to go through Greece, and I was able to see their test setup. They're going to be having at least 7 independent groups coming in to test their cold fusion heater starting the 24th, this Friday.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this word definitely it's got to get viral because this is amazing information you've just shared. Because I saw the article that you wrote, by the way, about this is the key to defeating the New World Order, and it absolutely is. That's why Michael and I are just so happy to be breaking this story with you here tonight, because this changes everything. We don't need to go to war for oil. We sure don't need these nuclear power plants, and it's time to get independent. We don't need to be on the grid, or the grid should be a backup power supply. That's what I would like to make it. And if it's there, it's there, and if it's not, oh well. So, just hats off to you, Sterling, for doing such a wonderful job and following up so quickly with this company. I guess, did you have any other, when you were over there, were you concerned at all for your safety, or was anybody concerned?
Well, there was a lot of people concerned for my safety. So South Africa and Johannesburg are not considered safe places to go, but it really is a matter of where you go in the country or in the city. And I never felt in any danger. I was always in the more wealthy parts of the town. The hotel they had me in was really posh. It was really nice. They took really good care of me. And so I had no concern whatsoever for my safety. Now, had I been there by myself and I had a rental car, then that would have been a different situation. I would have had to be careful about where I drive and which roads I take and all that kind of stuff.
I see.
Do you think the government of South Africa is going to support them, Sterling?
Actually, they have supported. I take that back. I'm going to have to. I don't have permission to go there, but I'll just say that that the South African government seems to be on their side.
Okay.
And that one thing I haven't mentioned yet is that the team is really amazing. They've got loads of money. They're not looking for money. They're not looking for investment. And typically when people cry the word fraud and scam, well, somebody's taking money and milking it as long as they can. Well, there's none of that going on here.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. Very professional.
Hey, Sterling, I forgot. I don't know if we got sidetracked, but what did you say the approximate cost for the 5 kW unit would be approximately?
Right. And I was going to go back to that. When I was first invited to go over, I asked them that question so I could see how much to raise. And they said it would be approximately just a little less than $6,000 for a 5 kilowatt system, which is, that's not cheap, but it's cheaper than solar and wind, and it has about a 5-year return on investment compared to fossil fuels grid power in Utah, where we pay 4 cents a kilowatt hour for our wholesale power. It's one of the cheapest prices in the country.
Yeah, I would say. It's got to be.
So in Utah, it's a 5-year return on investment. If you were in Hawaii, it'd be 1 year.
Oh, wow. This is a game changer, Sterling. What are you... I assume that you're really going to just go crazy getting this information out. I just found out about it a few hours ago and rushed back here to make sure I could get on there and really spread the word. But what would you like to tell people out there?
What's fun about this is that I really feel like my receptionist and the networking that goes on with this, that on the other side, angels and stuff like that are really orchestrating all this stuff. It's amazing how much synchronicity arises, the people that call you. And, if it was just, I put my phone number out there on my website, but I don't get inundated with phone calls. It's like I've got an angelic screening service that I, for the most part, just get calls that I need.
Yeah.
And one of the calls I got today was an ideal person to roll this out in the United States. I know him already. He's very interested. He's got the money. He's got the contacts. He already knows how to make systems just like this. He's done it. He's already made stuff like this.
That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, we got to take a break here. Let's take the break, and then we'll come back, and we'll open up lines if anybody's got questions or comments. 858-683-1309. Just press 1 so we know you want to come on the air with us. Our guest here tonight, Sterling Allan, and I've got Glenn Kennedy, who's co-hosting with me this evening. And again, we'll take your calls at 858-683-1309. There's a couple of you in the chat saying, can turn up the volume. All I can say is control it at your speakers because it's sounding fine to me, so I don't know. Might be on your end. I'm Michael Vera. This is Late Night in the Midlands on Radio NSearch, and we will be right back. Well, all right, and Sterling, we're back as well.
Sterling, I got a question for you. I see in the article it says that they also have an 8, 12, a 16, a 40 kW, and a 42 kW. Did you get any rough pricing on any of those units?
I was able to see the 40 kilowatt unit. It was very impressive. It wasn't set up to run very long while I was there. The shaft wasn't connected straightened up, and also the load wasn't hooked up. But I saw the load. It was about a $10,000 piece of equipment, a load bank. So I saw that one. The other ones are at a manufacturing facility, which we didn't go to, is actually in another country.
Okay, but the 40 kW system, is it? You said that bank was $10,000 for some kind of piece of equipment. Is that the whole thing, or how much would it cost total for a 40 kW system? Do you know?
I don't know. It's going to be a lot cheaper. The bigger size you go to, the price goes down because of the economies of scale. For example, if you were to go to half of the 5 kilowatt size to 2.5 kilowatts, it'd be almost twice the cost per kilowatt.
Yeah. I guess.
So they do plan on rolling out larger sizes, but right now they're focusing on the 5 kilowatt size because that's a size that can affect the most people, help elevate some of the people who are in poverty and things like that.
Well, the average house out there that's got a central air conditioner, is it possible that you could develop some kind of a capacitor bank that would? Because I know that the biggest load on an AC is when it first starts up. How many kWs would it take to power the average home with the average, AC unit?
Well, when you talk about average is 5% of peak. So if your peak is 20 kilowatts, your average is half a kilowatt. So that if you were running continuously at half a kilowatt, that's all the energy you're using all month. If you had a battery bank to store that, and it was 100% efficient in returning that energy, of course, in reality, that's not the case. But to give you an idea about how much energy you use, at night when you got everything shut off, you got a few transformers going, you've got your computer plugged in, but it's not turned on, you might be pulling 100, 200 watts throughout the whole house.
Right.
So you average all that out. The AC unit might pull 5 to 10 kilowatts. So yes, it pulls a lot of energy, and in those areas where you have a high AC load, then you would need to have two of these, one just to power the AC and one to power the house.
Right. But that, like I said, no problem there because these power bills are going just up, up, up every time you turn around. So very excited to see you get this unit because, like I said, once this comes out, what are the powers that be going to do when you can actually be independent from them and not even have to be on the grid at all? They're not going to like this at all. You know that.
Free energy disempowers the powers that be and empowers the individual so that they're no longer slaves to the New World Order system.
And did they talk anything about using this in transportation, like an electric car or anything like that?
Yeah, you put this in the back of a car and you would never have to stop for fuel.
So you basically you just convert your vehicle or get an electric car and then have your power source just running all the time in the back or whenever you need it, I guess.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of it is when you have this this solves all the transportation issues. It solves all the everybody getting off the grid. And can you imagine, Sterling? I think the last time I looked at it, the Department of Energy spends $24 billion a year, I believe, and it's about 250,000 employees. You just did something that they couldn't do with that kind of a budget. Now, obviously, we know that they've known probably about stuff, a million times more advanced even than this, but it's all been suppressed. It's a big game. The DOE is not working for John Q. Public.
We have a saying on our website, he who is one step ahead is a genius. He who is two steps ahead is a crackpot. And then there's an amendment to that. He who is one step behind is the government.
Yeah. They're many steps behind, and I'm just really curious because I plan on going viral with this information when we get this thing up tomorrow in a video and everything. And it's time to really shake the trees, and see what these New World Order little elites have to say about this, because I can tell you this company, it seems like it's confirmed. It appears like they've got it, and I'm very excited for this.
Well, and it's not just that. They're not the only players in this sector. There are a lot of other people who are chasing the same technology and are similarly, not as close, but they're making progress. These guys happen to be out in the lead. As far as I know, there could be others out there, sleepers, that I don't know about yet. But free energy has achieved escape velocity. They are not going to stop this. And this is one of several genres of free energy. And when we say free energy, as you were mentioning earlier, we're not talking about lifting yourself up by your own bootstraps. We're talking about those sources from the environment that are provided free for the taking. Solar is free, wind is free, geothermal is free. The devices are not free. And this is just another variety of environmentally provided free energy that is inexhaustible, ubiquitous, and everywhere available. It's just a matter of bringing the price down. The first units, I mean, they're coming out of the gate at $6,000 per a 5 kilowatt system. Imagine what it will be 2 or 3 years from now. It'll be half, maybe even a tenth that. It'll go solid state. One of the guys that was with us actually had created a solid state system. A guy that I know, we did a story about him back November 2009. He was he had a charger system where his daughter was driving this little electric car around, and she would run the battery down. He would hook up his little circuit to it, and the circuit would run off the power of the battery and would recharge the battery. So you have this device that's hooked up to the battery that is recharging the battery without being plugged into the wall. That's one of the guys that was there watching this thing.
That's absolutely amazing. And, you know, I'm glad that you came on the program and talked with us about this. I can't wait until we can all get our hands on something like this. That's what I'm looking forward to. And I worry, like Glenn said, I worry about, you know, the powers that be here in this government, you know, doing everything they can to prevent it from happening, because
don't worry about them. They get their kicks and their thrills by people being afraid of them. If you're not afraid, they have no power.
Yeah, I don't.
That's right.
I mean, we don't have fear, otherwise we wouldn't be doing what we do. But
that's right.
I know what you mean. People are. I talk to them all the time. They're just afraid to even say anything. It's like, you know, it's time to put down the fear. Fear is the enemy. We all need to go out there and spread the truth that Sterling's just brought us right now, that there's companies out there that are really basically coming out with the stuff right now that we've been talking about for years. We've been trying to find legitimate sources. And Sterling, as you know, it's a lot of garbage out there that you've had to search through to get to this point. And now, like you said, we are at a cusp of a golden age out there. And this gets rid of all the New World Order scams. Once this goes viral, and I want everybody tonight to send this story viral. I want it on Facebook, Twitter. We're going to send it. I want you to do the best job anybody's ever done at taking this article on these websites right here on InSearch and Project InSearch and Late Night, and get these things out there. And we'll have a video about this show as soon as we can, Mike. And because it's time now. It's time for the people to rise up and say enough of this garbage. We don't have to pay carbon taxes to Al Gore anymore. I mean, Sterling, can you imagine the money that we've spent in these stupid wars? I mean, we could have outfitted everybody with one of these devices in their car, in their home, and had so much money left over, it'd been insane. I mean, can you imagine not having to burn fossil fuel at all and be able to run down the highway and having your little generator in the back charging those batteries so you could go to California no problem? I mean, can you imagine?
That is the world of the near future. And I would encourage your listeners to go to freeenergynews.com, where we track these things as they develop on a day-to-day basis. That's where our stories are, and we link to other stories elsewhere as well. I also wanted to tell you about a new initiative that is really exciting. It's a group out of California and Arizona where they're coming up with a donate system. They're a 501c3. They have been for 20 years. So they've got a great track record in their humanitarian services. And they've opened up a new division just for financing free energy technologies. And we're going to list the top 5 or 10 on their website. You can go to their website, donate to any one of these technologies. You get a tax write-off. And what they do is when they get to a certain level, they then invest in the company. Let's say, for example, at Def Callion, for example, they get $100,000 in donations. They then do a $100,000 donation. Of course, there's going to be some overhead there too, but they do a $100,000, not a donation, but an investment. This is not a gift to that company; it's an investment, but with no strings attached. Basically, here's $100,000. Do with it as you need. If you do well, and our stock, or this goes into stock, for example, then we benefit from that, and we can then help other fledgling inventors do well. We can pass that on to other fledgling inventors in the free energy sector. The group is called North Point, and their website is going to be northpointcharity.org. And one of the technologies they're financing, and they said hello today, I was talking to them, they've been on your show, is John Searle and his group.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Great man.
Yeah, so this will be a way that people can, from $5,000 to $5,000 to, $5 million, they can donate and get a tax write-off and help the technology move forward. So it's basically we the people speaking and rising up against the corrupt powers that be.
That's what it's going to take. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when do you think it'll take a month or so to integrate this into your home? What do you anticipate, or will it be fairly easy to install?
It'll be fairly easy. We're probably talking an afternoon of hookup time. Because all you need is you need a grid tie inverter, so that if the grid goes down, you're not going to electrocute a line, and also you have to synchronize your electricity. It has to be in phase with the grid, so that it has a 60 hertz here in the U.S., and the 60 hertz from your device has to be in sync, or else you have problems. Either on your system, you fry your system, or you cause problems on the grid. So there has to be a synchronization, and those devices you can get off the shelf. That's not new technology. They use that for solar and other technologies. And then you have a net metering system, so that if you're producing excess energy, the meter turns backwards. If you need energy from the grid, let's say you've got your AC turned on, then the meter turns forward, and at the end of the month, if your meter is negative, then they pay you. If it's positive, you pay them.
And that's going to be funny. How big was this 40 kW unit? I mean, was it bigger than an AC unit?
Well, these are the shelf generators. How big is a 40 kW generator? It's about the size of a large monitor. It's a little bigger than that, longer than that. Pretty big.
Yeah.
The 5 kilowatt generator is about the diameter of a small laptop battery, or laptop computer, maybe 6-8 inches and maybe 12 inches long or less. And then the DC motor is about the same size, and then you've got 12 volt batteries, and that's a system.
Yeah.
That you can fit that in a small box.
Oh yeah, I mean, how cool would it be to build a little room and put all these things in there, and even have overpower and have these power companies paying you back money every month? That would be a kick right there to see checks coming in. It would
remember what we were saying earlier. The average usage of a home is half a kilowatt.
Yeah.
And so if you got a 5 kilowatt system, just do the math. Your average usage is half a kilowatt, and you've got a 5 kilowatt system running 5 kilowatt continuously, producing the excess to the grid most of the time.
Right.
If you've got, some states don't pay you. They'll do net metering up to zero. But if you send them more power than they send you, they won't pay you anything. I think Utah's actually like that right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Utah's one of the only states that doesn't do it. Utah's the only state?
Well, they do net metering. You can go to zero, but you can't go under. I mean, they won't pay you, if I understand right.
Yeah.
See, I wouldn't even care about that. I just to be able to not have to send them in a check every month and be able to power my own home, that would be a blessing right there.
And so the first people I'm going to want to sell this to are going to be my neighbors, because if things fall apart, I don't want to be the only one with my lights on.
Exactly.
Very true.
You're exactly right, and that's why it's important we get the word out, and in communities like yours and ours, word of mouth. We'll spread this and keep it, so our neighbors can be the first ones to get it, because we have to start forming groups, for survival in case things happen, or, you never know what can happen out there. And how thankful are your neighbors going to be when they get told about a device that they can actually get right now? I mean, they're going to be your best buddies. So, so I'm so excited about this, and I guess you're going to be getting your unit probably in the next month or so.
I'm hoping that it'll be about a month from now, and we'll probably do about 2 weeks of testing. I've got a friend who's got tons of equipment to test it, to just run it through all the parameters. And then we'll hook it up to my house.
All right, great. And we're looking forward to more updates as well on this. It's just fantastic. And we do have a call, but go ahead, Glenn.
Well, I was just going to say, before we get to that call, Sterling, as far as the ECAT that you said, you kind of, the second one sort of like ECAT, and it's like it works, does it use the nickel? Similar to ECAT? Well, from some of the things I read, it said that you could power your home on something like a $20 cartridge or maybe even less. I mean, what were the figures that you've heard? For 6 months, right? So can you imagine buying a cartridge for, say, $20 and having 6 months of power for your home? I mean, that's what people are doing right now. I mean, that's what they've already demonstrated, basically. Just out of curiosity, what's your time frame on that ECAT technology that you've got on number 2? Any word on that? Is it going to be in 6 months, 3 months?
The Def Callaghan Group which was a former licensee of Randy Rossi's ECAT. They had a falling out last August. They're now independent, and they claim to have developed a separate system that uses similar technology, nickel and hydrogen, in a cold fusion reaction to create heat. But they are very similar to the group in South Africa in terms of time frame of when the units will be available, when they'll be able to go to licensees, and their team is actually bigger. They've got like 35 people working full time in that group. Do you know of any other cold fusion, or not cold fusion, any other free energy group that has anywhere close to that number of people working?
No. I've never heard of anybody anywhere.
That gives you an idea of how serious they are.
Wow.
All right.
So you
let's
feel
go
like I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead and ask your question, and I'll take the call.
No, I just said that, so you feel like they're number 2, and who do you have in number 3, Sterling?
Number 3 is a solid-state system out of Utah, where they have, I think I mentioned this the last time I was on, something the size of a postage stamp, could power a cell phone indefinitely and cost $1 to manufacture. But they're about 12 to 18 months away from market. And this is one that I think would benefit especially well from this donation system that I was telling you about. No strings attached funding to get their thing moving forward.
All right, let's take that call, Mike.
All right, let's do it. We've got Eric in Hawaii. Welcome to Late Night in the Midlands, Eric.
Aloha, Sterling, Mike, and Glenn.
Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Aloha to you.
Hey, how's it going? Sterling, got a question for you. As I was meandering earlier today over the South African article you were just going over, I ran across an old article, another South African article that you did, where the headline is "Child Rides EV Toy on Voice-Free Energy," where he used the hex controller and the toroid coil to, skim the EMF signal and charge another set of batteries. My question
That's the one I was talking about, that the guy that was there with us at the demonstration in Johannesburg when I was there.
Right.
What's the date on that so the readers can look that up at PESN?
Yeah, I'm on that page right now. Has there been any follow-up on that?
Well, what happened is he had a nasty divorce and had to shelve it. And it's still in boxes.
Oh, okay. Because, man, I was, reading that. I'm compelled to actually ask Bob if I could talk him out of a hex controller myself to try to set up something similar. This article, I mean, just this morning that I read, it actually changed my views on the relationship between stoic and acoustic resonance, because Bob had earlier stated that his OU in his hydroxy setup was based on stoic resonance and utilized only stoic resonance. But I argued that the presence of water vapor in the system is evidence of acoustic resonance, and that there had to be a relationship and it had to use both. But after reading your article there, it's obvious that his system does indeed run on stoic resonance alone, harnesses, scalar energy, and the acoustical evidence, the water vapors in the gases, have to be a byproduct of the mechanical motion in his plates.
When you're talking about the byproduct and the gases and whatnot, you're talking about the hydroxy system from which his system was derived. He was using it in a hydroxy where you hydrolyze or electrolyze water to make hydrogen and oxygen gas to really improve the efficiency of the car.
In that gas, though, is water vapor.
Yeah, he noticed that he was able to use this thing on his daughter's battery with no water involved.
Right. Yeah, just by harnessing the extra scalar energy. Yeah, that's really amazing. That's like the solid-state generator technology that needs to be developed right there.
Yeah.
I have another link that the user name that you posted in the article. It's see if I can pronounce this. Watkaye, WATKYKIJY1. Okay, he has a YouTube channel, which explains
if you give the date for that story, people can look it up at PBSN in the archives. What's the date on the story?
It is November 12th, 2009.
Yeah.
And it reads Child Rides EV Toy on Voice-Free Energy on PES.
So Eric, would you be interested in that Hawaii licensee? You would be a great one, I think.
I sure would. I sure would.
I figured you might.
There's going to be room for a lot of players on this. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to be able to make some good money and help out the planet in the process.
Absolutely. That's what I like about it. They're having a team. They're making it a team concept, and I agree 100% with you when you said that they should definitely get those units into some more hands. I mean, I'm sure we could get tons of people in the States that would want at least 50 or so of those units.
Yeah.
All this stuff. It's hitting us all at once.
Someone had mentioned how these guys who come out with these free energy devices, how they always end up getting killed off. And I think the answer to that is getting it out there. Getting it out there in so many hands, they can't kill them all, right?
That's right.
Well, I have to take my hat off to this inventor because he didn't let the threats that he got stop him.
Yeah.
Right. True. Hey, maybe the Mayans are right. We really are moving into the golden age of revelation.
I hope so. We just got to stop these wars. I mean, gasoline. They're just really trying to get it up there quick, aren't they? I mean, it's hitting $4 already. It's just going up. It's just ridiculous, and that's just going to destroy what's left of the middle class and the businessman. The people just trying to make it to work. Their paychecks
Let me
aren't
ask you a question. Do you know of something that could be more significant than what we're talking about tonight, and yet there is not a peep in any mainstream news about this? Not a peep, and there won't be probably for several months.
Well, we're gonna make a lot of noise starting tomorrow when we get this interview done here, because you're right. We need to shame this media. This media is nothing but a bunch of corporate whores that all they care about is General Electric, who makes the nuclear plants. Now, General Electric...
They're propaganda machines for the power that be.
That's right.
Greed.
It's all greed, and, you know, great people like Eric and yourself who've been working in this field. You know, hats off to you, Eric. I know you've been really trying to do the hydroxy stuff, and, you know, maybe we can get this electric stuff going and have you a big electric truck out there. I would love to have an electric pickup truck.
We're going to have cars that run on water, houses that run on electromagnetic over unity, heated by cold fusion, and we're going to have anti-gravity, too, within 5 years. We'll be able to fly around and go from here to Japan in a few minutes rather than a couple of days with multiple connections.
Just like Tesla said we would have, you know, he had those little flying tubes that he said would be flying people around with anti-gravity, and you're right. It's time to bring that stuff out. It's not make-a-believe, as Sterling's just told you. This stuff's real, and I'm just so excited that we are actually breaking one of the biggest stories in history right here, Mike. And Sterling, thank you so much for letting us do it on Radio Surge.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Sterling.
You're certainly
Thank
welcome.
you, Eric.
When do you think you'll have any more? When do you think you'll have an update to the story? I guess you're probably in constant contact, and you know, I'm sure that they're. You know, I know you said in the article that they don't have a website, but it might be coming. You think in a month or so?
I would guess our next update will be in about a month when they get their first 200 units delivered and starting to be tested.
Fantastic. Hey, if you could, would you just give a recap on this for anybody who's tuned in late before we come to the end of the hour here? Just a recap on what we've been talking about here, so people get an idea that this is real. This isn't, well, if it works, this is the real deal.
Yeah, I went to Johannesburg and I saw a unit producing 5 kilowatts of power running off 4 batteries. It's basically their charge was maintained so that this thing could run indefinitely because it's pulling energy from the environment in the process of the circuitry, harvesting the back EMF and other things going on, so that basically you have a free energy device that could power a house if you were careful with your usage. That would cost, it would, you know, in Utah with cheap power have about a 5-year return on investment. In Hawaii would be more like a 1-year return on investment for the cost of the unit, and then everything thereafter is completely free. And this makes solar and wind obsolete. It makes geothermal obsolete because this is something which you can plunk down anywhere on Earth or in space and provide electricity as much as you need. It can be scaled up, scaled down. But right now they're focusing on the 5 kilowatt units. They're going into production, and they will have their first 200 units being tested by corporations in real-life situations for 30 days, and then it's rock and roll time.
Awesome. This is the key to defeating the New World Order that we talk about just about every night.
And
Sterling,
this is the only technology.
Yeah. Can you tell people what free energy means as far as, I mean, literally, it changes everything. I mean, greening the deserts, you know, going to explore Mars, whatever. But what do you see would be the biggest impacts of this technology in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hope.
Yeah.
So that we don't crash, because the New World Order folks are trying to crash the economies of the world so they can establish their one world currency and banking system and turn us all into slaves. This empowers the individual. It completely is a revolutionary act to support free energy. And that's why I wish Alex Jones over there at Infowars.com would cover free energy. He almost ignores it and even almost suppresses any mention of it on his show. He needs to be shamed and get with the program, because this is a major solution for defeating the New World Order.
Well, Sterling, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm actually going to go try to shake the man's hand on Sunday in Orlando. I said that if he ever came close, I would do my best. I'm going down there with Aaron, and we're going to tear it up, and I will do my best to get there hours and hours early, trying to meet the man and shake his hand and put a card in there, and I will definitely mention for him to get you on his show.
I would love that.
Yeah, so would I.
You've been doing a great job out there, and just hats off to you, buddy. And I'm just so happy that you broke it here first. And what's your next goal here? Just do some more research on this thing and just wait for this thing to get shipped. You know, we had a device that went to Hawaii, actually, to the brother of the man that just called, and he said it was like somebody had opened it in transit and cracked something. So I just hope everything gets to you safe and everything. But is there any possibility that there can be any more units being shipped to the United States, or are you going to get the only one in that first batch?
Well, we're hoping to be able to have license here in the United States to get this rocking and rolling as soon as possible. I'm pretty impatient, and I don't see a lot of moss growing under my feet on this. But what we'll be doing in the meantime is we'll continue to draw attention to those similar technologies that are of a similar ilk, where they harvest that energy from the environment that's free for the taking, that's everywhere, ubiquitous, clean to tap and harness, that will not only be affordable, but much more affordable, that will empower the individual, give us a productive capacity that Gerald Celente talks about, that can help us unseat the plans of the New World Order to crash the economies of the world.
Well, God bless you, buddy. This is the key, and we will be trumpeting it far and wide. Believe me, Mike is fired up. You have seen nothing until this story gets out and we get it all formatted and everything. Mike, I know you're just anxious to get going. We'll be going crazy out there tomorrow. And everybody out there, please get this story out to everybody you know. Let's make it go viral. And Sterling, why don't you give out all your websites again, and thank you so much again for being on the show today.
Sure. FreeEnergyNews.com for our coverage of our stuff as well as things elsewhere. And PESN.com is for the stories that we do exclusively. And just appreciate coming on the show and encourage everyone to be a free energy activist to help undo the New World Order.
Thank you, buddy. Keep up the good work, and we'll hear the update from you as soon as you get one.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sterling. That's Sterling Allan, and we've got his links up on the website at latenightinthemidlands.com. I credit him completely. He's a man of his word. He's kept in touch with me, keeping me updated on this. I've kind of been tongue-tied the last few weeks. Couldn't talk too much about it. I promised everybody listening that as soon as Sterling gave me the okay that we would go forward and tell you about it, and that's exactly what we've done, Glenn.
Yeah, great job. I know we delayed the break and everything, so let's go do that break and come back. But great job on following this story and getting us an exclusive. I mean, how much better does it get than that? I mean, Mike, I don't think anybody just realizes, but you've literally broken a story that's the biggest one of the century as far as I'm concerned, because not only is free energy real, but we can get it now. This is a death blow to the New World Order. This destroys all their plans. Get it out there. Go crazy. Let's go to our break, and let's come back and talk about what we're going to do next.
All right, let's do it. I'm Michael Vera. This is
but you know, there's sites out there that don't want you to communicate. They don't want you to make friends. I mean, we talked about AboveTopSecret.com before, Mike, but I remember I tried to just communicate by sending a couple of messages to people that I'd seen posting, and then I was reprimanded. It's like, you're not supposed to contact our members. It's like, you know, that's not what it's about at InSearch. We're all about we're basically created by the people for the people. We're going to be out there looking for, you know, what kind of corruption's taking place, what kind of developments aren't being covered on what we call the fake news. And, you know, the fake news out there is never going to tell you about free energy, because their bosses are General Electric and so forth, who have a vested interest in you believing in the fairy tale that we need to have General Electric nuclear reactors polluting our planet. And the fact of the matter is, you can now power your home off the grid. InSearch Radio brought it to you with Late Night in the Midlands tonight, Mike. And you know, I still can't believe that we finally got a device that somebody has laid eyes on and has seen working, and it's been tested, and that's what I like.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You know, I was down and out pretty much most of the day, Glenn, but as soon as I got with it and I seen the message from Sterling, you were the first one I contacted. We had another guest scheduled to be on with us tonight, and I had to reschedule him because, when we get breaking things like this, I can't wait. I got to come out with it. So,
yeah,
so here
like
we
I said,
are.
we'll have a video out on this interview tomorrow. As soon as we have it, we'll make sure everybody gets it out there virally, because everybody definitely needs to hear this information on this show. And we'll be in touch with Sterling, and I definitely am interested in finding out about this licensee arrangement. That sounds very interesting, and InSearch would love to be a part of that if possible. So, that's what we're about, trying to help other people. And the bigger that InSearch gets, the more we can do for other people. And so that's why I want to encourage everybody to go over there and start competing for these prizes. Like I said, we're doing 3 prizes. Our top users, you can go click on the top users tab up in the main menu there at the top of the page. These are the people that are really showing that they care about getting the truth out there the most. And, hats off to everyone on that list. You're doing good. I want to see more new faces popping up. And, because, Mike, the bigger we get, the bigger the prizes are going to get. And who else is actually giving silver out for spreading the truth? I sure don't know anybody.
No, I haven't heard about anybody doing that either. And, again, I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times. It's just an incentive. I think people should be out there doing that anyways. And I know you agree with that. But, yeah, it doesn't hurt to put incentives up. Sometimes I give away books for like Jesse Ventura and other guests that I have. I haven't done it in a while. Maybe we'll get something going. But the problem is we need funding for the programs and all that stuff. I mean, it's not free to send this stuff out. It's, so, when we get the right donations, when we get, we get constant funding and stuff, or good funding, I should say, then we're able to do stuff like this. But when we don't, we can't.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point is, Mike, we haven't talked about this in a while, but we do need donations to get to the next level. I mean, we're doing everything on a shoestring, and, it's a miracle that we didn't go down tonight. That's a good thing. We actually had a successful show so far, and at least the important stuff is over without too many problems. But we have had problems, and we do need your help. We've got so many things that are coming. We got the social network done. We've got some big upgrades coming to the system in the next 7 days, and I'll be telling you about those as they go live. So we're doing everything we can on the limited budget. If you do want to support us, there's 2 things that we need. Number 1, we need your money if you've got any. If you don't have money, then we need your support on the websites. And that's spreading the truth, creating blogs on these sites, on Late Night in the Midlands, on InSearch, Project InSearch, all 3 of these sites. We're using these sites to go into the matrix, wake up people, post comments, post links, whatever you can do to get people to come to this site, these sites, I should say. And, Mike, we'll have that interview posted, so that'll be a great way for people to wake up their friends and say, hey, check this out. They just brought out free energy yesterday. You might want to check them out. Because, Mike, how many other, like you said, we've got to get all these other hosts on board with this. This is a big, important issue, and that's why we put so much time into getting to the point where you were able to break this story tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I follow up on this stuff. I don't just come on the air and just talk. I mean, I'm working constantly. I'm talking with different people trying to bring this stuff out. I've heard other shows come out and talk about how they're so great at, handling whistleblowers and this and that. And that's all well and good. But I would ask a lot of these shows, what have you done for humanity lately? Telling us about the aliens that are hanging up outside the planet, that's great, but that's not doing us any good right now. And I just want to see more get involved in breaking these stories and getting this information out. It's not a competition. Now, if there's another radio show out there and they've got a great story that they broke, I'm not going to not share it because I don't want them to get more listeners than me. I can care less. It's about getting this information out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're that's because you're real. You're what you call a real patriot. This is a team effort, people. There is nobody out there. I don't care if it's Project Camelot or Alex Jones or Jeff Rentz. I don't consider anybody, number one, a competitor. They're all basically teammates against the New World Order and bringing out the truth. Do we all maybe not agree on every single issue, but I guarantee you I agree on most issues with all those people and most of the people that are in leadership roles in the alternative news. And, Sterling, so far I have seen nothing but wonderful things. He's done everything he's promised us to do, and he kept his bargain when he said that he would break the story on your show, Mike. He kept his word. Right. That's what I like about him.
He did keep his word, and that's one thing I do. You hear negative stuff on everybody when you go searching through the net. You could find negative stuff posted about everybody. I don't take anyone's word for it. I like to get to know these people myself and use my own judgment, because my judgment's usually pretty good about these things. And you get so many people, oh, this one's a Fed and that one's a Fed. Just because you said it doesn't make it so. That's like when they attack Alex Jones. I mean, with all the stuff that he exposes, I can't believe for a minute that he is. Now, why he's not covering the free energy, I grant you, I don't understand that. Maybe, I don't know. That's a big
he is careful, and he's out there in front, so I can understand, like, he doesn't want to get burned by some kind of scam, and there has been a lot of scams out there. So, he could be just being safe, and that's fine. We don't tell him what to put on his show, but I'll hopefully be able to make contact and talk to him and tell him that we definitely got the real deal. We broke the story, and we want him to come on our show too, because he's a hero of ours.
Where this story should have been broke? We should have seen this story broke on Fox, on MSNBC. It should be broke over there, and they could say, hey, guess what? We don't have to bomb Iran now.
You won't see a single network say we don't have to bomb Iran. I mean, everything is like, oh, we got to do something. It's like, are you stupid? Why do we got to do something? Because they might get a bomb someday. It's like, oh, we're going to beat you in the face because you might throw a punch 20 years down the road or something. It's like, I don't worry about Iran like I do some of these other countries. They're not a threat at all. And these wars are all fake. And we're going to bring out these free energy stories and everything else that we talk about, Mike, and we're just going to make them look so foolish. It's like, why are we killing great American soldiers for these territories that we have no idea why we're even there? Our soldiers don't support it. We're growing the opium in Afghanistan, and we've put Al-Qaeda in charge of Libya. I mean, what kind of garbage is that? We don't want any more wars. You understand that, you scum? We're tired of it. We're tired of this economy being destroyed, and you telling us that now we got to go pay $5 this summer for gas and we should like it. And it's no, we're not going to like it. We're going to take this information that we got tonight, we're going to go global with it, and we're going to show that you're just a bunch of lying scum. You've known about this technology for decades, like we've talked about on the show before, Mike. They have known about this technology ever since Tesla had it, when they killed him. And they took all.
You know what I'm going to do tomorrow, Glenn? I'm going to write into Fox. I'm going to call them, as a matter of fact. I'm going to call all these fake news outlets, and I'm going to tell them this story. And if when they say, when they don't bother with it, they're not going to be interested.
You should record.
I'm going to record the call.
That you told Fox News. Yeah, let's shame them. That's a great idea. Get them on the recording and get names and everything, program directors, whatever you have to go through. And then when they don't, of course, do it because they're all CIA run, then we can say, well, Fox News was told about it, but they didn't think free energy was worthwhile to their viewers, I guess. They just think you're dumb.
Oh, no, they don't think so. And I'll tell you what, it'll be far more than $5 a gallon. We go to war with Iran.
Oh, yeah. When the war starts, it'll be 10. I mean, I'm just saying what it'll be if there is no war. Just for the increased tensions.
Yeah, I had an Explorer that I used to drive around, and the last time the gas prices skyrocketed, it hit me. I had to sell the damn thing and buy a little car. Just because my work was something like 28 miles from where I lived. I mean, it was just killing me. There's like a full tank of gas in this thing that was costing me $100 to fill it up, and and that would get me there and back. I said, this is just ridiculous. So what they do is they kill the middle class, they kill the businessman, just like you said, and that's what they want to do. And the fake news is all part of it. They're all sitting there together, laughing, smoking their cigars, but they're not going to be laughing long because we're about to give them the knockout punch.
Well, they had, Mancow was on Alex today talking about how he'd seen, network executives and the people behind the glass and everything just saying, don't show him, because he just won this straw poll. Don't show it, ignore this about Ron Paul. Anything good about Ron Paul was ignore this. Don't talk about that. It's our news is completely fake and spin and everything to make you think that this reality that they give us is true. And none of it's true. We don't need this war. Depleted uranium is bad. The troops shouldn't be using it. I mean, that was only supposed to be brought out in the case of World War III, and they're playing with it like it's candy right now, and a lot of good men and women are dying and having deformed babies and everything else, and not a word of this is on the fake news because they love it. They love deformed babies in Afghanistan and Fallujah and everything else, Mike, and that's what we stand against, We don't have much money to our name right now, but as we grow, we will in the future. And it's not about the money; it's about getting the truth out to more people, Mike. Because if it comes down to it, we'll go door to door and knock on every door in this country with our teams and give them the cures for cancer, give them the free energy, and tell them that their news is fake. And yes, both parties have screwed you.
That's right. That's right. Glenn. I told you how I like to go to some of these fake news outlets like your Yahoo News and all that stuff. And these stories, you get these stories that are out there, oh, Iran threatens this, Iran's going to do that, trying to psych everybody up to say, we better hit Iran before they do something,
Yeah.
And I like to get in these and I like to leave, wake people up a little bit, tell them the truth of what's going on in these comments. And, you got to be kind of creative because they'll take your comments out quick if it goes against what they're trying to sell people here. So, they want these wars. They want more wars. A world war, oh my God, they'd be so happy about that. And,
they want,
it's all
that's
about,
what I'm saying, people. We're in a critical time, Mike. Like you said, they want World War III, okay? We have got to change that. We have got to raise the consciousness on this planet to know that our news is fake, to know that free energy is real, and it solves all these issues that they keep telling you that they're the solution for. They want you to pay money to Al Gore so he gives you, these carbon tax credits or whatever he's going to sell you, whatever scam he's into now. But, it's all about they're not going to be the solution anymore because they never brought you free energy. Even though they spent, trillions of dollars with the Department of Energy to get us off oil. That was their entire mission statement, get us off foreign oil, and they were created in like 1978. Well, how have they done so far? I mean, it's a fraud. It's a joke. All they are is to get more nuclear power plants rubber stamped, and they just made another one, Mike. I just saw, I don't remember what state it was, Pennsylvania or something, but they just put a new nuclear reactor has just been approved to go in the state somewhere. It's like just what we need, another Fukushima out there.
Oh, that's right. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, Glenn. And, once we get a major earthquake, like being here in South Carolina, I've been second-guessing about being here because, we're surrounded by these nuclear facilities. And, one good earthquake or anything like that, and, we're done. They're not going to save us. I'm not counting on the government to come in and say, yeah, FEMA will come. They'll come and lock your ass up. That's what they'll do, like they did in New Orleans.
Yeah, they say you're too radioactive. We don't want to contaminate the rest of the country. You're quarantined into South Carolina. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's all useless. I mean, if we needed the nuclear power and they could do it right, I would be all for it. But when's the last time anybody ever done anything right with nuclear power? They all have had problems, and then you can't do anything with the waste. I mean, the waste. Maybe there's technology in the future that'll make that waste inert in less than 4 billion years or whatever it is. But right now, as far as we're aware, there is no technology to do that. So you're just dirtying up your own nest for no reason. And I believe that the only reason that they really even did nuclear power is they figured it was a way that big companies like General Electric could make a fortune, because how many companies could afford to actually build such a monster, multi-billion-dollar facilities? It's kind of a way to keep the, quote, riffraff out of the game, Like your average mom and pop isn't going to be building a nuclear power plant, so it's a way to really get a monopoly on it. And that's why we've got to get the information out and use these websites and show what we can do in the InfoWar, Mike. I want to see people go nuts. Joey, don't think just because you're in the lead over there you can just stop. I mean, that's not a good InfoWarrior there. You've done well, but just keep it up, buddy, and keep spreading free energy truth out there.
Absolutely. Glenn, we're coming up on our last break here.
Yeah, I mean, what else do we want to do? We just broke the biggest story of the century, Mike. I mean, what do you want to do tomorrow? Well, I just want to bring something to your attention out there. I want to show you what a fraud Facebook is, Mike. I put out, the post for this event right after you posted on my wall. Looks like that post didn't get a single like or a share. So, there was another one that I did a little bit later. That one had 2 likes, 3 shares, and then another one that I said, hey, I don't know if I'm being censored, make sure you tell everybody. That one got 6 likes and 4 shares. Mike, something's going on big time here, because a post that I made just a day or so ago that was titled 8 of the world's healthiest spices, that one got 10 likes. Mike, I got 3,000 friends, and they've been combed to make sure that, we got out as many of the feds as we could, because there are so many fakes out there. But it's obvious that our posts are not being seen by all our friends now. I mean, Facebook is nothing but a complete fraud, and I encourage everybody to get your account on InSearch.com and come support us so we can continue to bring you enhancements and everything else that Facebook doesn't even have. But Mike, we're definitely being censored, at least I am on Facebook. I don't know. Did you have a big response? I don't know if you've had a chance to check.
I'm actually looking at it right now, and no, I think most of the shares were my own that I see on there right now. So, yeah, I know they're censoring. I've complained about Facebook for a long time now. They're kicking me in the groin every chance they get.
Well, that's why it's very
YouTube's another one.
Every single person hearing this interview tonight, you guys need to come to the sites and share the article on our site, so that, because they can censor us, but when enough of you get out there, they can't get you all, basically. It sneaks out of their control. So we need lots and lots of links to the site, to the show. Mike, I know we'll be getting a video for tomorrow, as well as a little article put together, because we got hit so quick, Mike. I wish we could have really prepped for this more, but hey, sometimes you just got to go with it, and we'll do a lot of our promoting tomorrow after the fact, because we were the first one to break the story, and I'm just glad that it worked out, just like we had hoped to have some big news for everybody, and it did work out. So that was awesome.
Well, that's right, Glenn. Last night, right after the show, I think I didn't stay up too much longer after that. I went right to bed, just feeling like a pile of crap. Today, most of the day, until about midday, I don't know. I don't think I got up out of the bed until 5 o'clock this evening. Yeah, I just didn't feel good. But then, I see that email, and it gave me some energy. God kind of gave me that touch of light so I could do what I'm doing here tonight. But, I tell you, Glenn, said it once, I'll say it again. With these chemtrails that keep going overhead, I'm telling you, I hear about a lot of respiratory problems. The doctor says, at the hospital, I talked to a doctor there, and he says that he's been getting numerous cases. And it's just one of those things, no medicine's going to take care of it. You just got to kind of let it work its way out. And I'm telling you, I think they're poisoning us. I think they're purposely spraying over my house. I mean, every time I go out there, that's all I see up there. And I know I sound like somebody we had on this show a while back who would always say, oh, the chemtrails are getting me sick. I don't know. I really think that's it. I'm starting to believe that.
Well, it's sure not good for us. I mean, who knows what the long-term effects are, Mike? But one thing is, your body's not supposed to have lots of aluminum going through it, and we know that the elevated levels of aluminum are showing up in the soil and the water. So if it's there, it's getting into our bodies.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a blood sample and taking it over to University of South Carolina here and telling them, see how much aluminum and barium you find in that,
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Maybe they'll hook you up there and actually do a test for you. But yeah, Mike, what's on your radar right now? I mean, the biggest thing on our radar, as far as I'm concerned, over here is this Iran war. The latest is that the IAEA has said that Iran is blocking their access to some of their nuclear sites. So that's like, oh, see, they won't show us everything we want to see, so we got to bomb them. I mean, they're getting they're beating the war drums, and that's why we've got to get this information out. People need to know that there is no need for this war.
No, absolutely. That's the biggest thing on my radar too, Glenn. It's not that I'm afraid of the elite. I'm afraid of what they're going to do next. And, I don't want to see no more war. And going into Iran would be horrible. We're talking about Russia and China getting involved. Why wouldn't they? You're cutting off their oil too. So you're looking at World War III. And, let's face it, World War III will be fought with nuclear weapons, and World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. We don't want to get to that point. Yeah. So, big on my radar, too.
And that's why I urge everybody, because, Mike, we have thousands and thousands of listeners at night. We've seen the numbers, and it is growing every single month. But we have so many of you that really haven't taken up the challenge, and I urge all of you, if you've never given to the show, then consider a donation. But even more important than that, if you don't have any money, that's fine. But please, please, please share the information out there. We can't do it alone. Nobody can. We need everybody's help. So we created a way for you to do it. It's at NSearch. It's at Late Night in the Midlands and Project NSearch. And Mike, can you tell people a little bit about the meetings that we're doing and how to get in touch with if they want to really take their participation in NSearch to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely, Glenn. Like I mentioned earlier, we encourage our listeners to get involved. Really, activist radio is what it should be called, because that's what we do. It's not just about, hey, come listen to us. I mean, we know some of you are tied up and can't do a whole lot, but there's a lot of you who have a lot of time and could be doing some good things. And if you're one of those people who really want to get involved and be a part of the team and help, I mean, we don't get paid for what we're doing, and you won't either. I mean, but the people who volunteer and help us now, when this company does grow, and it will, and it is, you'll be the first ones we look at as far as hiring permanently, because we're not in this just to have fun. We're in this to make something out of it. To not only change the world, but to be able to support ourselves and do this full time as I have been. I mean, I've done this with literally no funds whatsoever. We get a little help here and there, a couple donations here and there, but nothing major. So if you want to get involved, email me at latenightinthe@yahoo.com, or you can contact me right on the website at latenightinthe.midlands.com. But be serious. It's not like, hey, hi, just heard your show tonight. I want to get in on the meetings. It don't work that way. We want to, you got to show us that you're interested in helping us grow. And you could start by posting stuff on all 3 websites. Get active.
That's right.
When you do that, then we'll, because anybody should say they want to get into meetings, and they could just be coming in. It could be a Fed listening to what we have next, and trying to interfere with it. So we got to be careful what we do. It's not being paranoid. It's being smart.
Yeah, and if it's a Fed, we'll put them to work. They're going to go post and they're going to get in our site top users and everything else. So, I think the Fed's got so many problems right now, we're the least of their worries. I mean, the whole system's about ready to collapse. That's why they're so desperate to get this war going, because anytime Anytime they run into trouble, the first thing they want to do is start that war because it gets the chaos, and people lick the boots of whoever's the leader when there's a war because they think that he's going to save them, or they think, it's a war, so we got to support Obama. Even though we might not like Obama, we got to support him now. It's always those big lies that they tell you.
I don't support Obama at all. I don't care who doesn't like that. I think he's a piece of trash, and I don't want him running this country. I don't. He's everything he's done has been to hurt us. It's nothing as good has come out of this guy. Nothing at all. Right. And I'll debate anybody. I'll debate anyone on it. He's not even legal to be our president, and that's been proven. Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is not legal to be our president. He's a fraud. He's a CIA creation. His birth certificate was proven to be a fraudulent document within hours of release. Of course, none of that's going to be on your news. But that's another issue. I mean, we're going to get Obama out of there. I pray to God we do. But, what makes me mad is they're stealing this election from Ron Paul now.
Oh, yeah, they have been right from the start, Glenn. And, we knew that they would. And Ron Paul says that he won't run third party. And, I want him to continue. If he don't get the nomination, I want him to continue. And some have said, well, he doesn't want to be blamed for Obama getting in. Anybody who's awake and knows what's really going on knows that he won't be the blame for Obama getting back in. If people would start paying attention to the issues Ron Paul has brought up. I mean, here's a guy who's got a clean record. I mean, I judge a man by his record. His record is incredible. Then you look at the other scumbags in Congress who are just all bought and paid for. Ron Paul's got a great message. He's trying to wake people up about what's really going on. And if nothing else comes out of this, at least he's brought the issues to the mainstream where they've never been before. So. Yeah.
And that's right, and that's what people need to understand. And no matter what happens, we're better off than we were 4 years ago as far as the general population waking up. And Mike, we're just getting started, but I'll tell you what, the new business cards that we're going to be having available for people are going to be wonderful tools to wake people up. We've got some sticky notes that you can put on doors or gas pumps or ATMs or whatever. Those are going to be available, and I hope to get all that stuff up after my trip down to see if we can meet with Alex Jones down there. By the way, like I said, if any of you guys are in Orlando, let us know, and maybe we can meet you down there. But that's going to be Sunday, I believe, at 7 o'clock at the Orlando Highlight Center in Orlando. So looking forward to that. We're going to be on the way down. Of course, we're going to be plastering everywhere we can with cards and everything else. So what I'm looking forward to is just turning this into where we have a lot of fun. I see banner hangs, I see stencils in the future, T-shirts are going to be coming, of course, and we just want to make this fun. It is actually fun to help people and to show them that, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Don't be afraid of the New World Order. It's time for you all to shine. You're all humans here to do God's work, whether you know it or not. It doesn't matter if you don't believe in God; He believes in you. So, do something good. And even if you don't believe in God, that's fine. Believe in the Easter Bunny. I don't care. But just go do something. Make this world a better place when your life is done. Because I promise you, you won't say, I wish I would have dated another beautiful woman, or I wish I would have had a better car, or I wish I would have had another house. All that you're going to say is, wow, I got to touch a lot of people, and I made this world somehow a little bit better for a lot of people, and that's all that matters. So that's what we're about at InSearch, and we're not about the fame. We're all about the only reason we want to get bigger is so we can help more people. And that's going to be a lot of fun as we grow, Mike.
Breaking more big stories and getting everybody off the grid. That's something you and I have talked about since day one, is getting in contact with people who know about this technology, who knows where, and up until now, we've heard a lot about it, and we know it to be real, but we haven't been able to actually get our hands on it. And in this instance, Sterling has seen this in action. He knows it's real. He went out to Africa. He's seen the test run on it. I mean, this is real, and he's going to have one. And as soon as he gets it hooked up at his house, we'll be having him back on to talk about it some more. And we need everyone to spread this as much as they can, because that's how we keep people from getting knocked off. That's how we keep keep this stuff from getting suppressed, is we get it out to so many places where they can't stop it. Yeah, exactly.
And Sterling thinks that it is to that point. We're at that critical point where they really are going to have, he doesn't think it can be stopped anymore. I don't think it can either. I think too many people do know about it. I mean, we've got the people that work with us, Mike, like Eric over in Hawaii. I just think that they're not going to be able to stop us all, and we're not going to give up. I mean, like we always said, we told you from the very beginning when I first started doing this, I told you, I don't care what happens, I will bring out the free energy no matter what happens. I don't care. We're going to get this out. I know that it's key, and everybody needs to be talking about this, because this will change everything, Mike. Let's green the deserts. I mean, if you have this, you have free transportation. You've got free water. You can make your own water out of the air and run it through a filter, so you don't have to go, suck on the government forced medication and the fluoride. It does so many things to break the bond that they've got over you. And that's why, they're not going to tell you about this on CNN anytime soon. Not until things really change in this country and the news becomes real news again. Maybe someday, but it's nowhere near that right now, that's for sure.
Here's my idea, Glenn. I think tomorrow when are you going out for this Alex Jones?
It won't be till Sunday, so I'll have a few days still.
Well, I'm thinking maybe tomorrow you and I should get on the old Skype and make some calls. We'll just start with our own local news outlets, hit some of the bigger ones, and see if we can get their interest or get them to admit that they're as fake as we say they are.
Yeah, well, let's at least rebuke them, and see, and some of them might even think, wow, that's going to be a great story, but they probably, and we might get lucky, maybe somebody will actually run it. Some of the local guys don't always get the memo on that, and then they just get knocked down after it airs one time or something. So, it'll be interesting. We'll see, and a lot of people don't wake up until they go tell their boss, hey, I got this great story on this free energy. Can we run with it? And then they get told that, no, we're not going to do that. They'll just make up some excuse. And that's what they do about UFOs, too. We know that from the testimony of Jim Mars, where he was told that.
Yeah, exactly.
Jim worked at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram for something, I believe, 2 decades. And there was only 2 things he couldn't talk about, UFOs and terrorism. And actually terrorism, he always got those stories approved, but he never got one UFO story approved. No matter how many people saw it, no matter how much trace evidence was left, it didn't matter. You weren't going to put a UFO in the Fort Worth newspaper.
Well, here's the thing, Glenn, and that's what was great about the Phoenix Lights, that a lot of news outlets were forced to cover it because so many people seen it, and so many people start sharing the information, and that's what it takes. We got to force them. And even then, they'll laugh about it and say, if that was true, the aliens are coming to get us. And the fact is that UFOs are real. Who's flying them? Who the hell knows? So let's catch one. Maybe we'll know. But these things are real, and they're not gassing up on the moon. So something's running these things, and we could learn a lot by this. And believe me, the government, they've been into this so long. Maybe they don't have relations with aliens. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But I seem to think nowadays that some of these UFOs we see could very well be our own, and that reason is because they've back engineered some. That's just. I don't know. I think that's one of the possibilities. The fact is, the government knows damn well that there's UFOs and alien craft that has been here, and they're not going to tell you. And some people say, how can we take you serious when you talk about UFOs? How can I take you serious if you don't believe it's true? Because there's millions and millions of people who have seen these things. I've seen them. I'm not hallucinating. I'm not on LSD. I don't think I'm at Woodstock. I know what's going on. I've seen these things in the sky. And so they are real. I can't say who's flying them. But I know they exist, just like I know free energy exists.
And I do think that one of the reasons that UFOs were kept secret is I believe that if they said, yeah, we have UFO technology, then they would immediately have to say, well, yeah, they don't run on gasoline. Then they'd be like, well, why are we running our cars on gasoline again? Can you tell us that? And that becomes like, you know. So it makes it where it becomes like apparent that the whole oil economy is nothing but a scam, just to suck us dry like a bunch of vampire bats feeding on us. And that's what, you know.
If they would be honest, we can go from Flintstones to Jetsons overnight.
That's right. And I do believe that the technology that they really have is, when they finally do unveil it at some point, it's going to blow your mind as far as what we've been able to do in these black projects.
Absolutely. So, Glenn, we've got about another, 3 minutes to go. You want to get some information out there about NSearch and tell people how you'd like them to get involved, and we can close out the evening. And Awake with Peter Kling tomorrow night here on Radio NSearch Network, and so enjoy him. I'll be back with you on Friday with Helene Olson, Psychic Helene Olson, and we'll take your calls. And then Saturday, Dr. John DeSalvo, the first 2 hours with the Mysterious Realms, and in the last hour, Helene Olson's Angels Lighthouse. But yeah, go ahead, Glenn.
Now, I forgot to mention, but if you do have Skype out there and you want to be involved as far as getting the notices on what we're going to be planning, definitely join, we'll actually add Skype ID team.nsearch. So add us at team.nsearch if you've got Skype, so we can definitely reach you, because, Mike, we've got to have multiple ways to reach people, because they are censoring Facebook, they are censoring emails in many cases. You know, that's why it's so critical. I just say, everybody out there, please go to your Facebook, even if you hear this broadcast later, and go to NSearch or nsearch.com or latenightinthe or project.nsearch.com. Get that article on free energy. We'll make sure it stays at the front page for a while, and post it everywhere, because they cannot stop us all when we all take action, Mike. And thanks so much. Look forward to the show next week, and that's all we got tonight.
For my story.
Okay. All right, so why don't you tell us a little bit, tell us as much as you can about this generator and your excursions. I take it you went to Africa yourself, and I'll let you tell the story.
I did, Mike, and you know, I have to say that you were right there at the very beginning with me on this story when I first found out about it. I gave you a heads up about it, and both of us have just been chomping at the bit to get information out about this. And so I'd say kudos to your patience, because it's been, 3 weeks since we first learned about this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. And basically what they claim, what I saw, I should say, and yes, I traveled to Johannesburg, South Africa, and they're very proud of South Africa and several things that have come from South Africa, including the artificial heart. Anyway, what I saw was a 5-kilowatt generator providing AC power, running a load. At the time, it was about 4 kilowatts. We had a couple of burners, a kilowatt each, had a fan, 40-kilowatt fan turning, had a toaster, and another heating element, I believe. No, it was a pancake maker. And all of that was being powered by a DC motor that was being powered by 2 batteries, 12-volt batteries, 100-amp-hour batteries. And then there was another set of 2-amp-hour batteries that were being recharged at the same time by the back EMF coming from the DC motor. And how that happened was through some circuitry that an inventor down in South Africa came up with. he actually powered his house for 3 weeks with it. He was just tinkering around, first of all, making something for his daughter to play with. And he just, one thing led to another. He wasn't really trying to make something like this. It just turned into this. And lo and behold, he had a device that was putting out a lot of power, blew him away. He powered his house for 3 weeks with it, and then he presented it to a finance guy, was introduced, and the lab was powered for 3 weeks with it. So
Wow.
anyway, he came up with this circuit that basically not only harvests the back EMF. There's a lot of people, John Bedini, Peter Lindemann, Bearden, a lot of other people, thousands of people, I would dare say, are tinkering with that concept and have had varying degrees of success in doing that. But in the process, somehow, energy is showing up from the environment, because if you were just harvesting the back EMF, then at best you would have still a less than a 100% efficient system. But in their case, the batteries are basically staying at the same level, so you can run the system indefinitely while it's producing 5 kilowatts with the generator on the back on the production end. And so basically what they have is a technology that...
And everybody else, hang on. I'm Michael Vera. We're ready to get this thing going here with Sterling Allan, South African fuel-free generator preparing for the market. Sterling Allan reports on his recent trip South Africa to visit a company who has developed a 5-kilowatt fuel-free generator that will be available beginning in March, at least for now, for their existing customers. Sterling will be getting a generator to test and use at his home from that first batch of 200. Sterling D. Allan is the founder and CEO of PES Network and Company and the New Energy Congress, which is comprised of energy professionals from around the world who review the most promising new and emerging energy technologies. And we're very happy to have Sterling Allan with us here tonight, and we're going to bring him on in just a second. Glenn, we're about to bring Sterling on here in a second with us as soon as Autumn gets done with the screening. And so we're ready to get this thing going. 858-683-1309. That's the number to call in. We will take calls shortly. Once we get into this a little bit, just press 1 so we know you want to come on the air, and we're going to get this thing rolling. So you about ready, Glenn?
Yeah, let's take it away.
All right.
Yeah, let's
do
take
it.
it away, buddy.
All right. So everybody, please welcome back to Late Night in the Midlands, Sterling Allan. Welcome back, my friend. You got some good news, I take it.
I do. How you doing, Michael?
All right. We got Glenn sitting in with us as well. He's my colleague, Glenn Kennedy.
Hi, Glenn.
Sterling. Good to hear from you, buddy. I guess start wherever you want to start. An amazing story here unfolding, and I believe this is the first time it's been on the air.
It is. You guys are breaking it on the air. And I'm going to have to be careful because we finally got permission on the story that we posted today, and my original version was 10 pages, and the edited version was about 7.5, 8 pages. So there's quite a few things that they cropped out they didn't want to have out there. Sure. And so I need to be careful that I don't step over those lines. So
Understood.
If I say I can't go there, just I have to honor that.
No problem. Hey, Sterling, before we get going, just out of curiosity, has this company had any pressure against them? Have they had, they obviously know how this game has been played with suppression and death threats and everything else. Have they had any bad pressure applied to them yet?
I will say that generally speaking, the pie chart as I see it of bringing free energy technology to market, the obstacles that have to be overcome, 10 or 20% is coming up with the technology, 20% is finding the money, good money. 10% is men in black who do threats and stuff like that. 40% is interpersonal conflicts, and that pie chart would apply here as well. And that's as far as I can go in answering that question.
Sure. So it's obvious that they have something, at least to a 10% level, I guess, of the pie chart.
Struck.
Track down a story of a lifetime here with the Sterling Allan thing, and
absolutely.
I was just going to say, we've been telling people about that we've been searching and trying to verify things as best we possibly could with our limited funding, but it looks like we got something very exciting here, and from what I've seen so far, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got the stories posted on all three sites, on social network, nsearch.com. It's on project.nsearch.com. And it's also on latenightinthe-midlands.com. Pretty good story explaining what we're going to be talking about tonight, a little later on in the show. Sterling Allan, he's done some great work, this guy. I mean, he's traveled to find this, and I can't explain it any better than he can, that's for sure. But he's done a great job of getting out there and finding out what's real and what's not. And I got nothing but good things to say about him, and he'll be with us tonight. So interesting. Maybe we could finally get off the grid and generate our own power, Glenn.
Oh, yeah, man, this changes everything, and we've talked about it for so long. It's free energy. I mean, solar energy is a form of free energy. Free meaning that once you pay for the device, you don't pay for any other fuel. That's what we mean, because solar, everybody says there's no such thing as free energy. Well, when you build your solar system, the energy you're getting from it from that point on is basically free. That's what we're talking about, a renewable source, much better than nuclear that has all these problems with meltdowns, much better than oil that has all the pollution coming out the tailpipe. And Mike, this is something that's been around for 100 years. That's how successful they have been at suppressing this, because for the first time in history, Mike, we can get out there and contact thousands of people that can go on and spread this message virally. And that's one thing we want to tell everybody right now to do, is go get this article immediately. Take it to Facebook, Twitter, everywhere possible, because I've already seen that it looks like they're trying to clamp down on me, Mike. I mean, I've shared this thing, and, I've only seen like 7 or 8 likes. So it's like, oh, we just solved, we brought out a real free energy device that completely changes the entire paradigm, and I can get 5 likes. I mean, come on now. I know.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's what they're doing, Glenn. They're suppressing it.
I mean, I used to give out things that were nowhere near earth-shattering and get 175 likes, no problem. It's definitely been suppressed. Alex Jones is right when he says Google's playing games and these other things, these other social networks are definitely playing games. That's why it's important that we don't take this lying down. We need everybody to spread this story, and when this interview is done, Mike, I guess it'll be available. We'll make sure that we post it and tell you how to post it as soon as it comes live.
It employs off-the-shelf components. The DC motor is off the shelf. They've just made a couple modifications. The generator is completely off the shelf, and it's tied via direct shaft to the DC motor. The batteries are off the shelf. The only thing that they're providing that's proprietary and exclusive to them is their circuit. And so what we have is a licensing opportunity, and they actually chided me today. They're saying, whoa, slow down a little bit. We're getting a little bit too much volume here. A lot of people sending emails saying, hey, I want to get involved. But once they're ready to go, and they're almost there, all you have to do as a licensee, there's a very low entrance fee. It's very reasonable. Almost anyone with some entrepreneurial sense who has contacts to some people with some money could pull this off in any country of the world. You just source the DC motor, source the AC generator, source the batteries, and those are all off-the-shelf, fairly easy-to-obtain items. You build your cabinet, put it together into a nicely dressed case, and get the circuit from the company, and you've got a 5 kilowatt generator that produces 5 kilowatts or less. So if you don't need 5 kilowatts, the circuitry is such that it reduces the load from the DC driver to the generator. And then as you need a full 5 kilowatts, it increases the load to the DC motor. And we basically have the ingredients of a cottage industry that can spring up anywhere on the planet to make these things. And the limiting factor actually will be the DC motors, because they're somewhat of a, it's not just any DC motor. There are certain specs that they require for this to work right. And those types of DC motors are not ubiquitous. There's not too many manufacturers of them around.
Right.
And so that will probably be the choke point for now. It will become a logjam point, is running out the supply of those, because basically they're in production to handle their present load or the present volume of sales, not this sudden influx of new customers.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so there will probably have to be some new manufacturing plants built for the DC motors in order to handle the demand. The next step for the company is they're going to be completing 200 of these units. When I was there, I saw 200 circuit boards. I didn't count them, but approximately 200 circuit boards in the cabinet that they have built. And they were actually, the unit that I was looking at was a test unit to make sure that the circuit board was done right, because they're doing them by hand. And so they've got the parts are, the case is being manufactured, and these are supposed to be finished they're going to begin.
So, starting a few hours after the show, we should be able to just start posting this link to this interview everywhere. Right, Mike?
Yeah, we want everybody to get busy on it. Even like right now, start letting people know about it, because this is going to be a really good show tonight. And even after the show, get this out, because the more people that know about it, the less chance they have of suppressing this. I mean, think about it, Glenn. If people know that they could get their hands on something that can power their home, and they'd be free from the vultures at these power companies,
right.
And then they find out that the United States won't allow it in the country, people aren't going to be too happy about that, not one bit. So we need to get this out.
And you know what else this does, Mike? And people don't realize this, but when you solve the free energy issue, you also have something else, is we can get out of these high gas prices, because immediately we can begin powering stills that are basically powered with, safer induction heating coils instead of, that's my big problem with doing the alcohol still, is it's dangerous, because either you gotta fire that thing with either wood or gas or something, and that's not something you want to just have going all the time. But if it's something as easy as a hot plate, and you're basically making this stuff in a very safe environment, we can use that as a bridge. We can make our own alcohol fuel from our grass clippings and branches and everything else that's renewable, and we can do that as a stopgap until we basically start getting these devices put into vehicles themselves in the future. But we can definitely, how would it be to just be able to make your own gasoline right there at your house, Mike, just using this device as your power source?
That'd be great. Well, here's the thing about what we're going to be discussing a little later tonight, Glenn, is, I got to talk to Sterling about this, but I wonder, why couldn't this thing be put in, say, the trunk of an electric car and hooked up to it and constantly generate power? Goodbye gas.
Or
so there's a lot of...
Yeah, at least a truck, because this device, I don't know what size it is, because we won't know that yet, but I guess he'll be explaining that. But, either way, I mean, the bottom line is it solves everything. It solves the entire New World Order paradigm of, well, we've got to carbon tax you because, that money is going to be used to clean up the environment and all this stuff. It's like, no, let's end these nuclear plants immediately. 90% of them are already leaking. So let's get rid of these nuke plants. Let's stop these wars over oil and resources, and let's start doing what we should have been doing, many, many decades ago. Let's build this land into a paradise, and let's Let's let all these countries, South Africa, the United States, let's everybody be leaders in this field and bringing out jobs to their people, because, Mike, we know Obama has done nothing but destroy this economy and take jobs away from this country. America should have been the leaders in this technology because Tesla had it 100 years ago.
That's right, Glenn. And I hate to cut you off here, but let's take our break quickly. We do have Dee on the line, so we'll take our break, and as soon as we come back, we'll get Dee, and I guess Sally will be with us too. So hang on there with me, Glenn.